Hello, Dr. Frances Richards here with another healthy tip. I hope you are having an amazing day. And you know what? Before we get into our talk today, we're going to talk about foods that can cause chronic inflammation. But I was having a conversation with a friend, and I just wanted to throw this out to you guys. In the States, we're in the process of getting ready to celebrate on Thursday, July 4th, Independence Day. So if you are watching your weight, you're wanting to lose weight, you are on an eating plan, you're eating healthy, you're making some changes to your body, to your diet. How do you manage when it's a holiday or it's a wedding or it's an event or you meeting up with friends? How do you personally manage and maintain and stay on your healthy eating plan when you have various events coming up? And the summer months, it gets really busy. You may have family barbecues and a lot going on. So how do you maintain? So I'm curious, and feel free to post below some of the things that you do to maintain in the midst of a lot of changes in your schedule. It could be chaos. And we know in the winter months, like during the holiday season, there's a lot where we talk about you gain weight during the holiday season. So just share with me, what are some of the things that you do to manage when you are having a lot of changes in your schedule? I have a dear friend, and she's on an eating plan, and she's in the process of planning for her daughter's wedding. And so she's doing a lot of traveling with her job here and there anyway. And plus she had like some mini vacations where she's meeting up with family and friends. So I'm curious, once I connect back with her, to find out how did she manage on her healthy eating journey and connecting with family and friends. And sometimes you may not want to share with individuals that you're trying to lose weight or you're dieting, because you don't want certain individuals to sabotage your eating plan. Now, what I do personally is, for example, I have some meetings coming up this week. What I will do to plan to ensure that I stay intact with what I'm doing is I'll call the restaurant in advance, or the beauty of the internet, I will look online to see what's going on, what their menu, what it shows for their menu. And so what I'll do is I'll plan my menu out in advance of getting to the restaurant. So that was just kind of a side note that I just was thinking about. What do you do personally when your schedule is constantly changing, or you're super busy and you are wanting to maintain a healthy, balanced life? And I don't know if it's something, if it really works in a balanced life, but how do you maintain if you're on a healthy eating plan and you're having a lot of schedule changes? So I'm interested to know. So let's jump into our topic today. So we're talking about chronic inflammation. Now, inflammation is part of the body defense mechanism, and it's a process by which the immune system recognizes and removes harmful stimulants and begin the healing process. Now, there are two types of inflammation. It's acute and chronic inflammation. And I know that we've talked about inflammation before. This is a different spin on it. If you've been following our Facebook Lives, and we're going to talk about specific foods. And this is going to be really interesting, because there's going to be some foods that you may or may not are aware that could cause chronic inflammation. So we're not talking about acute inflammation, which is tissue damage due to trauma. It starts rapidly, it becomes severe in a short time, and symptoms may last for a few days. An example of an acute inflammation is cellulitis or acute pneumonia. And so it only lasts like for a couple of periods of time. But if you have like chronic inflammation, which is also referred to as a slow, long-term inflammation, and it's lasting for a prolonged period of several months to years. And generally the extent and the effects of chronic inflammation varies based on the cause of the injury or the ability for your body to repair or overcome the damages. So today we're going to focus on some foods that can cause chronic inflammation. Now, might surprise you. On our list is tomatoes. Now, you hear that we talk a great deal about tomatoes. Is actually, when we think of tomatoes, it's actually thought of as an anti-inflammatory food, which it is. But if you have a specific type of arthritis called gout, then tomatoes is not going to be really good for you to eat. So the tomatoes causes joint pains for people with gout. So we're talking about specifically if in fact you have chronic inflammation like gout, it's recommended that you should not eat tomatoes. Now, the source and the studies that they've done state that people can still eat tomatoes if they have gout. They should try to cut back and you look at reducing like the uric acid, because that's what is in tomatoes. Again, before you make changes to your diet, whether it's your diet or your exercise program or changing anything you eat, you always want to consult your primary care doctor, your physician, your dietitian, your nutritionist. The information that we're providing here, we're providing it for information and educational purposes only. It does not substitute you contacting and doing your due diligence, going to your own doctor. Something else that can cause chronic inflammation is sunflower, soybean, and cottonseed oil. It falls into the category of omega-6 fatty acids. Now, you've heard a lot about omega-3 fatty acids, which is really good for us, but the omega-6, it's the complete opposite. And you'll likely find omega-6 fatty acids in fried foods, egg yolks, and some types of meats. Therefore, cutting down on those types of food is going to help you reduce the chronic inflammation. Sugary soda is on our list. By now, we all know that soda is not good for us. Even diet soda is bad for us. Now, one of the main reasons soda is so bad for us because of the sugar content, which puts us at a risk of diabetes and heart disease. Now, consuming this sugar and this much sugar on a regular basis can trigger the release of inflammation. Now, women who consume more sodas have a 65% greater risk of developing arthritis than those who didn't. And they did a study on that. So what you want to do is avoid any kind of joint pains in the future. We suggest definitely limiting your soda consumption. Now, meats, aside from those that are vegan or vegetarian, we all include meat in our diet either on a daily basis or sometime during the week. Now meat is definitely beneficial as long as you're choosing the right kind of meat. And it does tend to be higher in fats and calories, meats are. So that means that it's easily metabolized into chemicals that can cause inflammation. Now, we can actually make our meats more unhealthy if we grill it, sear it, or fry it at a very high temperature, because the charred flavor that comes from this form of cooking is a result of toxins called AGE, and they're harmful to our bodies. So you definitely want to be careful about charring your food, overcooking your food, because it releases a toxin called AGEs. Now, fish, we know, is a great thing to include in our diets. Fish is the omega-3 fatty acids, which is a great fatty acids, and it's a lean source of protein. Now, a lot of nutritionists and I believe a lot of doctors will say that you should get 2 to 3 servings of fish every week. However, there are some specific types of fish and shellfish that can cause gout-related joint pains due to their high levels of purines. Now, fish like herring, mackerel, artichoke, sardines, scallops, and mussels, fish eggs are also due to have that high purine category. So there are certain fish that you, if in fact you do have gout, that you want to stay away from because it can cause chronic inflammation. Now, dairy is one of those commonly known foods to avoid for anyone that has arthritis, particularly rheumatoid arthritis. It can cause major flare-ups due to a protein found in the dairy. In fact, some people who suffer from rheumatoid arthritis, they have an actual intolerance to the proteins found in the milk, and their body forms antibiotics to the milk protein, and it attacks their protein which is found in their body. Now, not every person that has rheumatoid arthritis will react the same way to either milk or other types of dairy. Thank you so much for the loves and hearts. Now, they've done a survey, and this is a great example. What they did is they tested individuals, and some individuals reacted differently depending on the dairy. So the only way, so some people that had rheumatoid arthritis, they couldn't do the milk, others couldn't do the cheese. So what you have to do is definitely test it, consult with your nutrition, your dietitian, your doctor, and the only way you can tell is how it's going to react to you, your body, is you have to experiment with it. On our list is fried foods. We know to avoid eating lots of fried foods because it's really not good for us. In addition to that, besides the side effects of fried foods, it's going to cause us to gain weight. Eating lots of fried foods also causes inflammation. Now, when we cut back on eating fried foods and processed food, we should reduce the inflammation in our bodies because fried food contains lots of saturated fats, which can worsen the inflammation. Some of the things that you can do too is you can make some simple swaps in your diet to reduce the inflammation. So like what you can do is replace, if you do eat butter, instead of eating butter, you can replace it with olive oil. So say if you're going to saute something, you normally saute something in or put butter on something, you can add olive oil. Even on like your toast, you don't necessarily have to add butter. You can add olive oil or just try something different. But a swap is definitely olive oil. Do the olive oil opposed to the butter. Now, white flour-based products, refined carbohydrates, is a great way to lump a bunch of white flour products together. That includes like white bread, pasta, rice, crackers, potatoes. Now, the biggest problem with these foods is that they increase the body production, and we talked about that again, the AGEs, which leads to inflammation. Now, the molecule structures of these food is simple, but it causes a lot of complications in our body. Now, the body generally turns these products into sugar more quickly, and sugar is highly inflammatory. So a great takeaway for us is we know that sugar is not good for our bodies. Sugar is highly inflammatory, and it's going to cause us a lot of bad things. There goes for all the foods listed above, including cereal. When it comes to rice and potatoes, try to find ways to cook these foods that it increases resistant starch. That's a better way to cook it. So maybe like the potatoes, maybe you bake it instead of course, definitely frying the potato. Alcohol and tobacco. There are so many reasons besides joint pains that we should try not to consume alcohol and tobacco. When you use the tobacco or drinking too much, both of these products are bad for us in general. But when it comes to joint pains, it continues to make things worse. Smoking tobacco can put a person at risk for rheumatoid arthritis, and drinking a lot of alcohol increases the chances of developing gout. Now, both of these conditions will eventually lead to inflammation and joint pain. So what you want to do is avoid smoking and instead focus on a healthy diet with some physical activities. You should also, we talk about the benefit of getting a lot of rest. All of these things are hard to maintain when you're using alcohol and tobacco. So it's best to really eliminate both of them. Salt and preservatives, as we probably know, that getting too much omega-6 fatty acids and sugar in our diet, most people are probably consuming too much preservatives also. So a lot of companies will use all of these ingredients, salt, preservatives, sugar, fatty acids, in their food because it allows them to sit on the shelf a little longer in the grocery store. Now, the downside to this is too much salt in our diet can cause joint pains. If you're experiencing joint pains, a change in your diet might help. Try reducing the salt in your diet. And as consumers, what we want to do is be better educated about what we're eating and what we're purchasing. And what you want to do is start reading the labels so you can make conscious efforts to avoid foods that is packed with so much preservatives and additives and salt and sugar that it is not going to benefit you. So the less salt may help you manage your arthritis, which includes avoiding prepared meals. We know that prepackaged meals have a lot of sodium, it has a lot of preservatives, and it has a lot of things in our body. Now, it's quick, it's convenient in the short term, but we know definitely in the long term, it's not going to be good for our health. Hey, Bernie, thanks for joining. Appreciate you so much. Coffee, for many of us, giving up coffee or even cutting back can be extremely hard. A lot of us that drink coffee, we do it because it tastes good, it energizes us, and it's a routine. It's part of our morning routine. Thanks, James, for joining. So an early cup of coffee. I have shared this before. I gave up coffee now. It's been 11 years ago I gave up coffee. I didn't give up coffee because I didn't have any problems in my body or anything. I just chose to give up coffee. And so because I gave up coffee, I am really caffeine sensitive. So if I take anything that has any kind of caffeine, whether it's chocolate or a green tea abstract, it will keep me up for days because now I am really sensitive to caffeine. Now, caffeine has been linked to the development of rheumatoid arthritis, and it's one of the foods that many arthritis sufferers are often advised to avoid. Now, they've done a study that has even shown decaf coffee can contribute to rheumatoid arthritis, and the only real option is to avoid any potential risk is to really switch to a tea. Hello, Bernie. So if you are having some challenges with rheumatoid arthritis, you probably want to get off the coffee and look for an antioxidant rich tea. Gluten, it's not uncommon to come across someone these days who doesn't eat gluten or at least try to minimize their intake. Now, some of them do it because they are for allergy reasons or their intolerance. Some people are doing it because they're wanting to watch the weight. Gluten, which is a protein found in wheat and grain products like barley, oats, and rye, can actually cause inflammation. So people who have celiac disease and autoimmune disorder, in which gluten prompts the body to literally attack certain food proteins and injuring the digestive tract, should go 100% gluten-free. Also, people with arthritis patients who have gluten intolerance or a less serious condition, it could still trigger inflammation. So it's advised that if you have the arthritis or celiac disease, you should definitely avoid the gluten. So what we were talking about today, and do a quick recap, we're talking about chronic inflammation. So it's not just inflammation, it's if you have chronic inflammation. And these are some of the foods that you should avoid if you have that could cause chronic inflammation: tomatoes, sunflower, soybeans, cotton oil, sugary soda, some types of meat, processed meat, fish. There's certain fish we talked about that can cause chronic inflammation: dairy, fried foods, white flour-based products, alcohol and tobacco, salt and preservatives, and coffee and gluten. All right, that is our list for today. I'm Dr. Frances Richards, and what I do is I help individuals reclaim their health by incorporating eating a cleaner diet. What is a cleaner diet? It's eating foods with 5 ingredients or less, or it's eating food that you can pronounce all the ingredients on the label. And let me know if you've taken our little audit in your own kitchen. Have you grabbed your favorite product and looked at the label and read all the ingredients in there? Are you able to do that? If you can't, it's suggested that you get on Google and Google the ingredients in your favorite product and see what are you actually ingesting in your diet. So our objective is, a lot of people say, oh, well, Frances, I want to lose weight. I want to get healthy. So I want to ask you, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to get healthy? Do you want more energy? Do you want better sleep? Do you want to lose some space in your jeans and in your closet? I have to tell you, you want to first get healthy, and then guess what? The byproduct is the weight loss. A lot of us want to lose the weight first and get healthy. No, you have to get healthy first, and then guess what? You're going to lose the weight. So if you say to me, I'm struggling, I've tried so many different things, but I just cannot get it together, why don't you go on and book a strategy call? You can connect on my calendar. It's drfrancesrichards.com. And what we'll do is do a complimentary strategy call to see if we can work well together. I don't work with everyone because everyone is not ready to make that commitment and make a change. But if you think, or you'd like to know if we can work together in reference to helping you to reach your healthy and your health goals, feel free to contact me at drfrancesrichards.com. You can always private message me, and I can also send you a calendar link there. If you have a question that you'd like me to answer on one of the Facebook Lives, feel free to private message me or leave it below. Until then, we'll be back tomorrow with another healthy tip. Remember our 3 H's. I want you to always to be happy. And then I want you to be healthy. And last but not least, you want to always hydrate. Drink your water. How much water should you drink each and every day? At least half of your body weight in ounces. If you're not there, you want to start where you're at. And each and every day, you want to increase, because our objective is making those bit-sized baby steps for you to reach your ultimate health goal. I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you, Bernie and James. We will be back tomorrow with another healthy tip. Until then, be happy, healthy, and hydrate. Take care. Bye.